is our joint thinking and our purpose for this reunion. Not that getting together and laughing and talking and eating too much and staying up too late, not that there's anything wrong with that, but we hope to accomplish something tonight. I don't know that we could have before now, and I don't know that we will ever pass this way again. You'll see what I mean when I get into it. But I wanted you to know that prayerfully, Dave and I agreed on what you're about to hear about. Our discussion was prompted by an experience that I had in the summer of 2016. It was directly related to our shared mission experience. It blessed my life and others of our group. There are several others in the room tonight who shared in part of this experience. And I'd like to share it with all of you now. I'll try to be brief. My kids say I have a speech impediment. I have to stop every 10 minutes and take a breath. But the flip side is that when somebody at the back of the studio is giving me a hard rap, I know what to do. So if this goes too long, just cut me off, pull the plug or something. And I'll try not to get emotional, but I better just apologize in advance because I know how I feel about this and I know what's coming, so I'm sorry. I pray for an extra portion of the Spirit now to help me to speak my heart in a way that would be pleasing to our Heavenly Father and uplifting for all of us. This reunion is primarily for those who served under President Mylan Smith and with Sister Smith, bless her heart. Some also served under President Belnap, who passed away in January of this year at age 90. There are lots of missionaries who have served with more than one president. So that's not unique to us, but our experience was a little unique in that it was not just the usual transition from one mission president to another. For many, it was difficult. Members and missionaries alike were affected in one way or another, some of them deeply. Some of them were hurt. Some of them did not heal. Some of you might not be fully aware of what I'm talking about, but most of you, certainly those who served in that time frame, understand it well. Now my purpose is not to go through it all again, but perhaps those of you who love broadcasting as I do, and are old enough to remember Paul Harvey on ABC Network Radio News and his little series called Paul Harvey's The Rest of the Story. Well, my purpose is to make reference to all that went before as a foundation for what I'll call the Paul Harvey Rest of the Story. My mission was a tremendous blessing. Almost all my thoughts and memories are positive and good. Only occasionally, and I mean that sincerely, have I thought about the hard parts, and only then to keep them in perspective. Several times, I spoke with President Belnap in person. I even visited his home on occasion. Each of those occasions were warm and comfortable, at least for me. But in hindsight, I worried that I didn't do as much as I could have for him, as he had done so much for me. Then one day, summer before last, 2016, all of that changed in a way that I did not anticipate and will never forget. I knew he was in a senior living center in his hometown of Bountiful, Utah. I was just driving down the road thinking about something, I don't know what, something entirely different, when I had a clear impression that I should visit him there. And so I did. It was a warm reception and a big hug and a wonderful, wonderful visit. I stood to leave, and then I had a second impression. The impression was, thank him. Tell him you love him. Tell him what he did for you. Tell him the difference that he made. The way in which he was an instrument through which the Lord could pull me out of the fire. And here I stand tonight. So I did all of that. And then I stood up again to leave when came the third impression. And I turned around and I said, President, do you remember the family album? I'd like to tell you that he did remember that, but I can't. So we talked about it, and slowly but surely the memories came back. And we talked about the traveling family home evening. And the Spirit said to me as clearly as I'm saying to you tonight, offer to bring that back. And so I did. And I said, President, what if the family album could come here to your home, this center, and what if we could present the traveling family home evening for you and all of the residents and your family and whoever else you'd like to invite? And he was thrilled. He was thrilled. So we organized and arranged, and with family and former family album members, we came back a number of weeks later, just before his 90th birthday. And once more, we performed. This time, just for him. There were tables, chairs, there were people up in balconies on both sides, but we had a nice big soft easy chair that we stole from the lobby and put right center front for him. As we sang those songs and told stories and paid tribute and bore testimony, it was no longer the good brother that had greeted me at the door of his tiny little apartment, kind of hunched over, kind of weak. It was the Dean Belnap of the early 1970s. And it was as if he had been transported back to Hyde Park, or South End, or Brighton, or the Temple Grounds, or Norwich, someplace in that beautiful Green Island that he loved. And he with tears streaming down his face, he knew the words. He sang along. I don't know just exactly what, if anything, needed to be sort of made amends for. I don't know what, if any, anguish needed to be felt in connection with whatever needed to be fixed. who had given his all in service to the Lord. And I knew, as sure as I stand here tonight, that the Lord knew him and loved him and accepted him. And if I can do half as well, if I can contribute a fraction of what he did, I'll be deeply grateful. This is taken from the program at his funeral last February. In 1953, Dean and Elin moved to Virginia, where Dean served as a medical officer during the Korean War. As a returning veteran, he moved his family to Bountiful, where he practiced pediatrics and later psychiatry. He cared for thousands of patients in his lifetime. Dean and Elin's home was generously open to guests, including those needing medical care. Among those were Cambodian refugees who lived in their home for 2 years. Did you know that? He spent his final professional years promoting mental health among LDS missionaries, serving on an interdisciplinary team pioneering missionary clinics for LDS Family Services and the Missionary Department. Dean served in public roles, promoting the treatment, protection, and education of children and adolescents. He served on the boards of numerous professional organizations, task forces, advisory councils, including the Governor's Advisory Council on Developmental Disabilities and the Utah State Board of Regents. He was also a member of the Davis County and Utah State Boards of Education and was later appointed to the National Board of State Boards of Education, serving as chairman under President Jimmy Carter. Dean's lifetime of dedicated church service took him throughout the world. He served on the church correlation, general priesthood, and genealogy committees in the 60s. From 1969 to 72, presided over the England East Mission. Dean and Elin also served 2 missions as a senior couple. Now this is what I want to focus on. This is after England, after experiences both sweet and sobering. Dean and Elin served 2 missions as a senior couple. First in Jakarta, Indonesia, where Dean joined the Jakarta Medical School faculty, and he was instrumental in working with the Indonesian government, facilitating permission to resume missionary work in that country. Their second mission was in Frankfurt, Germany, serving missionaries with mental health needs in the European area. Dean's love of missionaries and missionary work was unfailing. I had a conversation with his son, Paul, in which Paul told me that the number of those missionaries who struggled with one challenge or another, or couldn't quite look themselves in the eye and get themselves up and believe that they could do what they had been called to do, the number was in thousands. You think about that for a minute. In thousands. In his home, on the phone late at night, driving all over Europe from this base in Frankfurt, Germany. Thousands. At his funeral, they invited all the missionaries who had served to line the aisle from the podium, down the aisle in the chapel, out the door to the waiting hearse. This was a very large stake center in Kaysville. It was filled to capacity. The funeral was conducted by President Russell Nelson of the First Presidency, who was a medical school classmate and a colleague, President Belnap, and a personal friend. And he was there at his request. I mean, at his own request, President Nelson. And here's the aisle lined with missionaries on both sides, shoulder to shoulder, from the podium all the way down the aisle, all the way out the building, all the way out to the hearse, and then a group of them beyond that because there simply wasn't room to contain them all. And they stood at attention and gently touched the casket as it went by and paid tribute in their own way and wept at the loss of its great man. And I among them, because I'm one of the thousands. He saved my mission. He saved my life. I simply would not be here tonight if it weren't for what he did in behalf of and in harmony with the promptings of the Spirit of the Lord. Now I close. I don't question or criticize on either side. I just accept, and I thank the Lord for his marvelous, miraculous reconciliation of it all. I believe that both those men, both those mission presidents, did what they thought was right. I believe the brethren did what they thought was right. And I know that the Lord knew what was in their hearts. He knew it then. He knows it now. And not just of them, but of every one of us. This is the opportunity, the objective that Dave Heyman and I talked about. Together with him and all of you, I pray that each of us can have closure and peace and love for two great mission presidents, as the Lord has for each of us. I bear you my testimony that I know that the Lord Jesus Christ stands at the head of this work, that he carried out the will of the Father for all his brothers and sisters, that we are, in literal fact, members of the family of God. His gospel contains the answers to the questions we used to ask by way of our little film strips and screens and the man's search for happiness display. Who am I? Where did I come from? Why am I here? Where am I going? That gospel has been restored to the earth in these latter days, never again to be taken in its fullness. We are led by living prophets. I know it's true. I know it's true. And it's a delight and a privilege for me to close now with the words of this poem that was printed on the back leaf of President Belnap's funeral program. Francis Ridley Havergal said the following: "Take my life and let it be consecrated, Lord, to thee. Take my moments and my days, let them flow in endless praise. Take my hands and let them move at the impulse of thy love. Take my feet and let them be swift and beautiful for thee. Take my voice and let it ring always only for my King. Take my lips and let them be filled with messages from thee. Take my silver and my gold, not mine what I withhold. Take my intellect and use every power as thou shalt choose. Take my will and make it thine, it shall be no longer mine. Take my heart, it is thine own, it shall be thy royal throne. Take my love, my Lord, I pour at thy feet its treasure store. Take myself, and I will be ever, only, all for thee." With all my heart, I believe it was so for him. May it be so for us, in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.